What does this word mean? How can I use it in speaking? Maniacal. Maniacal is an adjective that describes someone who exhibits wild, frantic, or obsessive behavior. It is often associated with someone who is extremely enthusiastic or driven to the point of being uncontrollable or insane. The word can be used to describe intense laughter, behavior, or actions that seem a bit crazy or excessively energetic. How to use maniacal in speaking. Describing laughter. Liz let out a maniacal laugh that startled everyone in the room, talking about intense behavior. Joe's maniacal focus on winning made him push himself beyond his limits, referring to someone's actions. Jack drove with a maniacal speed, ignoring all the traffic rules, discussing intense enthusiasm. Ivy's maniacal enthusiasm for the project motivated the entire team, but also wore them out. When using maniacal in speaking, it's best to pair it with a context that shows extreme behavior or intensity, whether it's positive, like enthusiasm, or negative, like dangerous actions. Tedium. Tedium is a noun that refers to the state of being boring, monotonous, or tiresome. It describes a feeling of weariness that comes from doing something repetitive, uninteresting, or lacking in excitement. Tedium often sets in when someone is engaged in a task that feels endless or lacks stimulation. How to use tedium in speaking. Describing a repetitive task. The tedium of filling out paperwork all day really drains my energy. Talking about a boring situation. Sam couldn't stand the tedium of the lecture and found himself dozing off. Referring to a monotonous job, working in data entry was filled with tedium. The same tasks day after day became mind-numbing. Discussing a lack of excitement. After a few hours, the once exciting road trip turned into tedium as the scenery never changed. When using tedium in speaking, it's effective to pair it with situations or activities that involve boredom, repetition, or a lack of variety, helping to emphasize the dullness or monotony. Credulity. Credulity is a noun that refers to a tendency to believe things too easily or readily without sufficient evidence or skepticism. It describes a state of being overly trusting or gullible, often resulting in someone being deceived or misled. Credulity is often seen when someone is willing to accept something as true without critical thinking or verification. How to use credulity in speaking. Describing someone who is easily convinced. Amy's credulity made her an easy target for scammers. Talking about believing something without proof. Joe's credulity was evident when he believed the conspiracy theory without questioning it, referring to a gullible nature. The advertisement preyed on the credulity of people desperate for a miracle cure. Discussing an example of naivety. Children often show great credulity, believing in magical stories and mythical creatures. In speaking, use credulity in the context where someone accepts something too easily or without evidence. Profundity. Profundity is a noun that refers to deep insight, thought, or understanding. It describes a great depth of knowledge, wisdom, or emotional intensity. When someone shows profundity, they are demonstrating a deep level of thoughtfulness or comprehension, often regarding complex or abstract ideas. How to use profundity in speaking. Describing deep insight or thought. The profundity of Sam's analysis impressed everyone in the meeting. Talking about a work of art or literature with deep meaning. The profundity of the novel lies in its exploration of human nature and morality, referring to someone's wisdom or deep understanding. Paul's speech was filled with wisdom and profundity, leaving the audience in awe. Discussing a significant or impactful experience. Liz realized the profundity of the moment when she held her newborn baby for the first time. Commenting on a deep emotional or philosophical conversation. Our late-night conversations often touch on the profundity of life and the universe. Cavalier. As an adjective, cavalier describes an attitude or behavior that is dismissive, carefree, or shows a lack of proper concern. It often implies being arrogant, offhand, or inconsiderate about serious matters. How to use cavalier in speaking. Describing someone who is dismissive or indifferent. Joe's cavalier attitude towards safety regulations worried his colleagues, talking about a casual or carefree approach that seems inappropriate. Amy was criticized for her cavalier approach to managing the team's budget, referring to someone who disregards others' feelings or concerns. Ben made a cavalier comment about the layoffs, which upset many employees, discussing an overly confident or arrogant demeanor. Bet's cavalier dismissal of the feedback showed she wasn't open to improvement, commenting on an irresponsible or reckless action. Driving through the storm with such cavalier disregard for the weather conditions was dangerous. In speaking, use cavalier when describing someone who is overly casual, dismissive, or indifferent. Vis-a-vis. Vis-a-vis is a preposition or adverb borrowed from French, meaning in relation to or compared with. It can also refer to something or someone being face to face with another. How to use vis-a-vis in speaking. Comparing or relating two things. The company's profits this year is strong vis-a-vis its performance last year. Talking about relationships between two entities. The government's policy vis-a-vis education has changed significantly. When discussing contrasting viewpoints, we should consider their proposal vis-a-vis the current market trends. In the sense of face-to-face, the two leaders sat vis-a-vis for their negotiations. In professional settings, discussing one topic in relation to another. The discussion vis-a-vis customer satisfaction was quite enlightening. In speaking, use vis-a-vis to indicate comparison, relationship, or when referring to two things being discussed in relation to each other. It's often used in formal or professional contexts to show connection or comparison. Alacrity. Alacrity is a noun that refers to brisk and cheerful readiness. It describes someone's eagerness, enthusiasm, or willingness to do something quickly and with excitement. How to use alacrity in speaking. Describing someone's enthusiastic attitude towards a task. Lisa accepted the new project with alacrity, eager to get started right away. Talking about someone responding quickly and positively. The waiter brought our food with alacrity, making sure we had everything we needed. Mentioning someone's promptness or willingness in offering help. Sam jumped in with alacrity when we asked for volunteers to clean up. Describing a positive response to an opportunity. The job candidate showed alacrity in answering all the interview questions confidently. In a professional context, to highlight someone's readiness to contribute. The team approached the new challenge with alacrity, determined to succeed. In speaking, use alacrity when describing someone's cheerful willingness, quickness, or enthusiasm to do something. Rotund. Rotund is an adjective that describes someone or something that is round or plump in shape. It can also refer to a person's voice or manner of speaking that is rich, full, or grand in tone. This word is often used to describe physical appearances or speech styles that are big, bold, or substantial. How to use rotund in speaking. Describing someone's physical appearance. The professor was cheerful, rotund man with a kind smile. Talking about a large, round shape. The rotund shape of the balloon made it stand out in the sky. Referring to a rich, full voice. The actor's rotund voice filled the entire theater, commanding everyone's attention. Talking about something rounded or circular in form. The rotund architecture of the ancient building gave it a unique charm. In speaking, use rotund to describe something or someone with a rounded or full quality, either physically or in terms of voice and tone. Impasse. Impasse is a noun that refers to a situation where no progress can be made because of disagreement or a deadlock. It describes a point in discussions, negotiations, or processes where further action seems impossible and neither side is willing or able to move forward. How to use impasse in speaking. Describing a deadlock in negotiations. The two companies reached an impasse during the contract negotiations with neither side willing to compromise. Referring to a stalemate in a relationship. Their relationship hit an impasse when they realized they had very different values. Talking about a standstill in decision making. After hours of discussion, the team was at an impasse, unable to agree on the next step for the project. Describing a point where progress halts in a difficult situation. The peace talks came to an impasse with both parties refusing to change their stance. In speaking, use impasse to describe moments where a disagreement or obstacle prevents further progress. Caveat. Caveat is a noun that refers to a warning or condition attached to an agreement, statement, or situation. It highlights a specific limitation or caution that should be considered before proceeding. How to use caveat in speaking. Describing a warning before taking action. I'll lend you the money, but with one caveat. You must pay it back within a month. Talking about a condition in an agreement. The deal seems great, but there's a caveat that we need to maintain a minimum balance in the account. Referring to a caution when giving advice. You can try the new strategy, but with the caveat that it may take a while to see results. Mentioning a limitation in a statement. Liz accepted the offer with the caveat that she would only work part-time. In speaking, use caveat to introduce a warning, condition, or limitation that should be kept in mind when considering a decision or situation. Indiscernible. Indiscernible is an adjective that means something is impossible to see, hear, or understand clearly. It describes things that are difficult to perceive or detect, often because they are too faint, unclear, or subtle. How to use indiscernible in speaking. Describing something difficult to detect. The faint sound of footsteps was indiscernible in the noisy crowd. Talking about unclear differences. The changes in the design were so minor that they were almost indiscernible to the average person. Referring to something hard to see. From a distance, the writing on the wall was indiscernible. Describing a hidden or unclear feeling. Bet's true emotions were indiscernible from her calm expression. In speaking, use indiscernible to describe things that are hard to notice, recognize, or understand due to their subtlety or faintness. Ingenuity. Ingenuity is a noun that refers to the quality of being clever, inventive, and resourceful. It is used to describe the ability to solve problems in creative or innovative ways. Ingenuity often involves thinking outside the box and coming up with smart solutions that others might not have considered. How to use ingenuity in speaking. Describing problem solving. Ivy's ingenuity helped her fix the broken machine with just a paperclip and some tape. Talking about innovation. Our success is due to the ingenuity of our engineers who constantly find new ways to improve our products. Referring to creativity in challenging situations. Paul showed great ingenuity when he created a shelter using only materials he found in the forest. Discussing resourcefulness. Jane's ingenuity in organizing the event with a limited budget impressed everyone. In speaking, use ingenuity in contexts where creativity, resourcefulness, or innovative thinking are involved. Parochial. Parochial is an adjective that refers to a narrow or limited viewpoint, often associated with a focus on local or small-scale issues rather than broader perspectives. It can describe someone or something that is concerned only with their own immediate area or interests, often to the exclusion of larger concerns. How to use parochial in speaking. Describing a limited viewpoint. Tom's parochial outlook prevented him from seeing the potential benefits of international partnerships. Talking about small-mindedness. The town's leaders have a parochial attitude, focusing only on their local issues and ignoring national trends. Referring to a narrow focus. Mary's parochial concerns about the school budget overlooked the broader needs of the community. Discussing a restricted perspective. The debate became parochial, with both sides only considering how the policy would affect their small group. In speaking, use parochial when discussing situations where someone or something is focused too much on local or limited concerns, often ignoring the bigger picture or broader areas. Finesse. Finesse is a noun that refers to skillful and delicate handling of a situation or task. It can also be used as a verb, meaning to manage or deal with something in a clever and subtle way. People with finesse are able to navigate complex situations with grace, tact, and precision. How to use finesse in speaking. Describing skillful handling. Liz handled the negotiation with great finesse, making sure both sides felt satisfied with the outcome. Talking about subtle skill. Zoe showed finesse in how she balanced her work and personal life, making it look effortless. Referring to clever management. The artist painted the portrait with finesse, capturing every small detail beautifully. Discussing delicate problem solving. You need to approach this issue with finesse if you want to avoid upsetting anyone. In speaking, use finesse when describing situations where someone deals with a challenge or task in a way that shows elegance, precision, or cleverness. Lucidity. Lucidity is a noun that refers to clarity of thought, expression, or understanding. When something is lucid, it is easy to understand, and lucidity means the state of being clear and comprehensible. It can be used to describe clear thinking, writing, or communication. How to use lucidity in speaking. Describing clear communication. The professor explained the complex theory with such lucidity that even beginners could understand it. Talking about clear thinking. After a good night's sleep, Sam felt a sense of lucidity and was able to solve the problem quickly. Referring to understandable writing. The lucidity of Paul's writing made the scientific article enjoyable to read, even for non-experts. Discussing mental clarity. Despite the stress, John handled the crisis with impressive lucidity, calmly guiding the team through the challenge. In speaking, use lucidity to highlight clarity in speech, writing, or thought.